It's a day that we will all never forget.
Just after 6 o'clock, a Comair flight 5191 crashed.
August 27, 2006, while departing Lexington's Bluegrass Airport, something went terribly wrong. The plane was headed down the wrong runway, one too short for it to become safely airborne.
I saw over the hillside a flash of light.
49 passengers and crew were killed. The days,
that we can demonstrate our love and concern for them.
the weeks, and the months to follow
One day we can have the answers we need.
would be filled with questions about what happened and why.
And now, 10 years later, hundreds of people gathering to remember this tragedy on this anniversary, honoring the 49 people killed on August 27, 2006.
You're looking live at the folks gathered at this hour at the UK Arboretum. There are more than 300 family members who have come, and they are seated. Other people as well from the community are there. And Sam, really a somber moment this morning for Lexington and really people across the country touched by this.
You know, Barb, it was a crushing day in so many ways. And as we sat here 10 years ago in this very studio, anchoring the coverage with our colleagues of this tragedy, the news only got worse as we learned that there would be only one survivor on that day, that 49 people had lost their lives. This 10-year mark since the crash of Comair Flight 5191 is being recognized this morning with song and prayers and tributes. And we will bring you the entire event live. It will last about an hour. Barbara, one of the things that struck me about some really beautiful words spoken here this morning was Anita Threet, who lost her brother Greg. And she said, many people have asked her, how did our family get through this? And she said, it was a community of people that stepped up and supported us. And I think that's been one of the themes of this morning, is this was a community thing, not just the families, but so many people stepped up, whether they were first responders on the scene, people at the hospital, people with hospice, just go down the list, the leadership in the city. We're back live in Louisville. He, of course, was Muhammad Ali to millions of people around the world. But before he was Muhammad Ali, he was Cassius Clay. And that's when a Frankfurt woman actually knew him very well. Betty Griffin from Frankfurt says, even at the age of 13, Cassius Clay was telling people he was going to be the greatest. And it turns out he was right. Yeah. She came by herself to Louisville. Dr. Betty Sue Griffin taught at Kentucky State University. Bill and Andrea, I'm going to throw it back to you from Louisville. It has been a historic day, but I want to show you the program from the service behind me. Very simple on the front, Muhammad Ali, 1942 to 2016. And on the back, this quote, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. The author, Muhammad Ali. Back to you. Good evening. I'm Sam Dick, and happy election night. Polling locations across this state, for most of the state, have closed. Far western Kentucky, polls are open for about another 30 minutes because of the time change. As results come in, we'll have updates. We'll be live here on the CW Lexington until 7. We'll be then going back to CBS News and also WKYT. Okay, here's what we're following right now at 6:30. Election results coming in for the state of Kentucky in that U.S. Senate race, also the congressional races and the presidential race. Our Bill Bryant will join us here in just a minute live to talk about those current results. Bill Bryant joins us now. Already we had about 10 after 6. We already started to see some results. Two races that we're really looking at, the presidential race and the U.S. Senate race. Let's take a look at the numbers we have right now, because Trump was expected to take Kentucky, and so far he's well ahead.
And the 8 electoral votes.
The U.S. Senate race, the incumbent Rand Paul, the eye surgeon from Bowling Green, with a healthy lead right now over Mayor Jim Gray. Jim had some challenges coming into this race. His name recognition, for example, outside of central Kentucky, probably not as high as, obviously, the senator from Bowling Green. Welcome back to WKYT News at 6:30 live here on the CW Lexington. U.S. Senate election results from Kentucky slowly trickling in this evening. Incumbent Republican Rand Paul seeking his second term as U.S. Senator. He's facing Democratic challenger Jim Gray, of course, the Lexington mayor. The numbers right now, 17,000 plus for the incumbent Rand Paul. Jim Gray trailing behind. This is a live look at the Florida Atlantic coast as powerful Hurricane Matthew continues to move closer. To be exact, this is Hollywood, Florida, which is a community between Fort Lauderdale and Miami there on the coast. Chris Bailey telling us the eye of the storm right now is just northeast of this picture. So, Amber, this is why it looks so calm. It's about 7 miles wide, the eye is itself. Good evening. Hurricane Matthew now stands as a monster Category 4 storm. It's been pushing through the Bahamas all day.
Hello, Facebook. It's Sam and Chris getting ready for the rest of the 6:30 to answer your questions on Facebook.
Sam's already here. I'm just getting in
Come on
here.
over here, Chris. All right, so we want people at home, people who are watching us, people who are not watching us, whatever, to put your questions into Facebook. Is it Facebook Live, Pope? Yeah. Okay. For Chris about what's coming with the snow. All right, to help us break down the news, Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey joins me. All right, we got some questions for you.
We're actually doing something cool for our viewing audience. We're live on Facebook at this same exact time. Sam's got Facebook Live up, and he's going to start asking me questions that folks on Facebook are wanting to know.
McKinnon wants to know, how bad do you think it will stick between Bath and Montgomery County?
You know
so
what?
People get really specific with this stuff.
They do, and I've got that area of the state, Sam, in a general 2 to 4 inch snowfall.
Teresa says, what is the start time for Northern Kentucky?
Northern Kentucky, you'll get in on that Northern Kentucky before daybreak.
Holly says, I love how excited Chris gets about the snow. It's not a question, but we thank you for that.
Yeah, Holly, I get a little fired up over snow, and I love the seasons. If it's wintertime, might as well snow.
And real quickly, Kenny, are we expecting any ice? That's a good question.
No ice with this one, none at all, although, you know, that was my bold prediction for the winter forecast, but that's not going to be the case.
You pull up at a stoplight here in Lexington, and just a few feet away stands a man with a sign saying he's hungry and homeless. Do you give him $1 or $2, or do you ignore him? It can be a real pull on the heartstrings, but handing out cash may be the exact wrong thing to do. Tonight, panhandlers and the con job, many of them are pulling with your money.
He says his name is Billy Mead, and he's asking for money as drivers stop on Maxwell at the Broadway Street intersection.
I'm just trying to make a living. I mean, you know, I'm out on the street.
In the 30 minutes or so we watch, drivers hand Mead cash, handfuls of change, a bottle of water, and cigarettes.
When you see someone like this that's asking for money, what goes through your mind?
I think I have to help him. So I have no choice just to help him.
Everybody goes through a hard time. You just never know when somebody needs help, so I always try to help when I can.
The monies they're collecting, it's not to buy food. And they just go in that liquor store, corner there, the Signature liquor store. That's where they go buy their liquors.
You see this happen?
I mean, so many times.
Charlie Landers says that man, 41-year-old Robert Johnson, was a regular panhandler at this intersection at Maxwell and Broadway. And he says Johnson was often intoxicated. He says on the night of his death, Johnson was offered a ride to a warm place to sleep by a group helping the homeless. Landers says Johnson turned them down because he was intoxicated. And starting in the next few weeks, the city of Lexington plans to launch a public service campaign to encourage people not to give money to panhandlers. It's called Change for the Better Lexington. Information postcards like this one will be given out, listing all the shelter addresses and the free meals offered every day, plus the 211 hotline number and ways you can help without giving money to panhandlers. The card says, be firm but respectful, offer the person information, not cash. And now 3 counties have taken some of those abandoned rail lines and turned them into trails where people can walk, run, or ride a bike. The Rails to Trails have become a source of pride, an economic shot in the arm, and a place to unwind.
The fog is still thick on an early morning drive on the Mountain Parkway. 90 minutes from Lexington, we turn onto Route 7 in Magoffin County and stop at the trailhead for the Dawkins Line Rail Trail. The rails are gone, but the path the trains took still take you deep into some of Kentucky's most beautiful land. Victoria Doucette and others who live near the town of Royalton fought hard for their vision.
So here we are inside the tunnel, and I got to tell you, it's amazing. It's about 15 or 20 degrees, or at least it feels like that, cooler than the outside. So it's natural air conditioning on a hot summer, fall, or even a spring day. It's just so refreshing. 750 feet long. To think that decades ago trains went right through this tunnel.
We're told that much of the credit for this trail goes to a former First Lady.
Be a great day to be on that trail today, as a matter of fact. The Dawkins Line Rail Trail goes through Magoffin, Johnson, and Breathitt counties. Another part of the trail that has even a longer tunnel is not finished just yet.